Does your life have soul? I'm not talking in the soul brother jive turkey fish-eyed fool type of way, but more in the layered depth of meaning. Look around you. How much of what surrounds you has a soul, a story? How much of it was crafted by hand, with love and intention? That's why I have no interest in just building cars, but instead exercising a philosophy, building a way of life. I don't even know if that matters to anybody else, but that's the thing about charting a path of your own. It's your own. Listen, there's a thing called Wabi Sabi. It's about finding the beauty and imperfection in the worn and weathered. It's about appreciating the story behind an object, the hands that shape it. You see, when we surround ourselves with these soulful things, we're not just decorating, we're building a narrative, weaving our own story into the fabric of time. As you probably figured out by now because of the thumbnail, I've got two projects cooking. The P51 Mustang tribute that speaks to the bravery of the Tuskegee Airmen, to freedom, rising above what's expected, charting your own course, and the new build about dormant dreams and discovering your why. For nothing on this channel is a how-to, but everything speaks to the why. Neither cars are just cars, they're vessels of history. Carriers of dreams. And as I build them, I'm hopefully not just shaping metal, but shaping myself, my life. The P51 car is called a tribute because it's all about the men who flew the P51, the Tuskegee Airmen. It's all about their spirit, their fight, their dreams that soared higher than any plane ever could. So every day I'm trying to capture that in steel and glass. This week, I've been wrestling with the passenger side flip-up door for the canopy top. It's like trying to teach an old dog new tricks, except I'm both the dog and the trainer. I cut, I weld, I fit, I curse, I start all over. I cut, I weld, I fit, I chuckle, I start all over again. But each time, it gets a little better. That's the thing about craftsmanship. It's not all about getting it right the first time. It's about getting it right eventually, no matter how many tries it takes. We do the work. We recognize the profundity in our efforts. We feel ourselves grow. Another thing that's been pressing my zen has been anchoring the windshield surround. I had to cut a chunk of the door out and permanently attach it to the dashboard so the windshield had a place to rest. The original car had a flat windshield that was 10 inches further forward on the cowl, and because I wanted to both exaggerate the front end length to resemble a World War II fighter plane, and I wanted to use this particular windshield surround, I moved it backwards, landing it square on the wraparound part of the doors. Nope, that's not simple or easy, but it's well worth it. It's well worth it to birth a dream. But that's the beauty of it. That's what makes a great story. Every problem is a door to something new, and this problem literally led me into tackling the inside of the doors. The steel structure, the locking mechanisms, the handle, all functioning parts of the story. All things I can't finish right now because I'm waiting on the door hinge to arrive, allowing me to start work on the other project, Wabi Sabi, the perfection of imperfection at work. You see, this just isn't about building a car. It's about understanding the soul of both the process and the machine. It's Wabi Sabi, baby. Finding beauty in the imperfect, the unfinished. Each weld, Each bend of metal, it's a mark of the journey. It's life, a collection of marks, a collection of stories, of imperfections that make us who we are. Working on this tribute, it's been like having a conversation with history. My hands are speaking to the hands of those airmen who flew the planes. I'm connecting to a time when things were built to last, when craftsmanship meant something. And in doing so, I'm building more than a car. I'm building a bridge between then and now, between their dreams and mine. My mostly vintage lifestyle is not about living in the past. It's about honoring it, learning from it. It's about recognizing that everything handmade, everything vintage has a story to tell. And when we surround ourselves with these things, we become a part of that story. All things that require time, our hands, our conscious effort, whether that's vintage cars, art, music, or even assembling an IKEA bed for our kids, they're all conduits into something bigger. We're being shaped, taught, and prepared for unseen challenges. It's one foot in front of the other, but when you do it consciously, each step is taking you somewhere you've always dreamt of going. Speaking of consciously moving, there's this project I've been carrying around in my heart for years. A car inspired by GT cars of the 60s and American super muscle cars. It's been sleeping, waiting for the right moment to wake up. And today, the moment's come. The mother sauce to my build is a Fiberfab body from the late 60s called a Banshee. This is the second of the claimed 12 that were ever made that I've built. And although I definitely put my own touches on the last one, this go round, I'm gonna do my Singer thing. I'm gonna reimagine it, make it truly my own. A mixture of reverence, vision, and determination. I had somebody do the rendering some time ago, and looking at it, I can feel the electricity running through my veins. That's how I know I have to build it. It's like waking up after a long nap and realizing you still got time to do something amazing before the day ends. My day, my life, however many more trips around the sun I have. I'm starting with the lower portion of a chassis I began to build for another vehicle, and I'm so happy I'm doing that. It's like excavating your own history, digging through layers of who you used to be to find the foundation of who you are now. And let me tell you, it's a hell of a thing to stand there, holding the skeleton of a past desire in your hands. I wish we could take all of our previous desires apart and remember the whys. Who were we when we fought so hard for something since forgotten? Now, building cars like this, it's not just about putting pieces together. It's about making choices that speak to who you are, what you value. I chose an LS engine because of its compact size, awesome sound, and because it's got the heart of a lion with the reliability of an old friend. The AR5 transmission because of its size, cost, and its 375 first gear. That, paired with a Pontiac G8 diff sporting 292s, will give me low-end power and top-end economy. A V8 Roadster Miata tubular K-member, big brakes, vintage air, I did it column, all parts and parcel, gumbo fusion, my vision of a vintage supercar. As I'm fitting these pieces together, I can't help but to think about all the dreams we put aside, the ones we tuck away because life gets busy, or we're afraid, or we just forget how to believe in ourselves. This Banshee is going to be a reminder that it's never too late to pick up where I left off. There's this Japanese art called Kintsugi. It's all about taking broken pottery and mending it with gold. The idea is that the breaks and repairs are a part of the object's history, something to showcase rather than hide. As I work on this car, blending old design with new technology, I realize that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm practicing Kintsugi on my own dreams. Every weld, every modification, it's like a golden seam, holding together the pieces of a vision I've carried for years. And you know what? The dream isn't diminished by the weight. If anything, it's more beautiful for having been broken and remade. I look at this chassis, this engine, the parts spread out before me, and I see more than the sum of the parts. I see a bridge between who I was when I first dreamt of this car and who I am now, finally building it. And I can't help but to wonder, what dreams are you holding on to? What visions have you tucked away, thinking the moment has passed? Let me tell you something. The moment is now. It's always now. Whether your dream is a car, a career, a journey, or a change in your life, it's waiting for you to pick it up and breathe life into it. You know, there's something about the way that rust blooms on old metal, how the paint chips and fades, revealing the history beneath. It's not decay, it's character. It's Wabi Sabi, the idea that perfection ain't all that it's cracked up to be. That beauty, real beauty, lives in the cracks, the wear, and the stories etched into the surface. I remember the first time I really got it. I was a teen working on my '69 Mustang, all beat up and neglected. Most folks would have seen it as junk, but I saw poetry. Every dent was a verse, every scratch a line in the story of that car. The primer wore a nod to someday. And as I worked, as I breathed life back into it, I wasn't erasing those marks, I was adding to them, becoming a part of the car's journey. And it showed me that I was perfect just how I was. It thickened my skin to those who laughed at it, and it widened my shoulders for fellow gearheads who adored it. That's what this vintage life is all about. It's about seeing beauty in what others might call broken. It's about understanding that everything, every single thing with history has a story to tell if we're listening. And let me tell you, these old cars, they've got stories to tell. Now, I'm not knocking new things. Lord knows we need progress. But there's something soulless about mass production. About a world where everything is shiny and perfect and disposable. When I looked at handcrafted pieces, whether it's a car or a chair or a coffee mug, I see the hands that made it. I see the time, the skill, the love that went into creating something unique. And it's also not just about aesthetics, it's about sustainability. About respecting the resources we've got. When you revive a vintage car, especially if you do it using refurbished, used parts, you're not just saving a piece of history, you're saying no to the endless cycle of consumption that's eating up our world. You're saying that maybe, just maybe, we don't always need to have the newest, the latest, the most perfect. I challenge you to look at your life, at the things that you surround yourself with. How many of them have a story? How many of them connect you to something bigger than yourself? It doesn't have to be a car. Maybe it's your grandma's quilt or a piece of furniture you built yourself. Whatever it is, cherish it. Let it remind you that life isn't about being flawless. It's about being authentic. Because here's the truth. We're all imperfect. We've all got our dents and scratches. But that's what makes us beautiful. That's what makes us human. When we embrace our imperfections, when we stop trying to sand away every rough edge, we become more ourselves, more real, more alive. You know, as I stand here in my garage in California, I can't help but to feel a certain sense of accomplishment for stepping over the edge of something so big and meaningful to me. Something that was brewing in my soul for years. Italy. Not just as a place to visit, but as a home. A place where the very air seemed to whisper stories of craftsmanship and passion. A place that I bought a home a few years back. I had a vision, you see. A life where every morning I wake up to the sound of church bells instead of traffic. Where I could step out of my door and be surrounded by centuries of history. Where the cars I love aren't just hobbies, but lifeblood. It was never about escaping America. It was ever about embracing a part of myself that's always seemed to be there, waiting to be awakened. These projects I'm working on right now have come to be about building a bridge between where I am and where I want to be, surrounded by rich history in the shadow of craftsmen, the buildings, the food, the small artisan crafts, a lifestyle, a philosophy. I dream of driving these cars on winding Italian roads, past vineyards and ancient villages. I dream of sharing that experience with others who get it, who understand that a car isn't just a machine, but a time machine, a way to connect with the past while racing towards the future. You know, growing up in Berkeley, I learned to question everything, to look at the world from different angles. It taught me to appreciate the unconventional, the artistic, the soulful. And somehow, that Californian spirit led me straight to Italy. Because in both places, there's this incredible appreciation for beauty, for craftsmanship, for living life fully. I want to create a brand, a lifestyle, a community that reflects that. Something that brings together people who understand that life isn't about having the newest, shiniest things. It's about surrounding yourself with objects that have soul, with experiences that leave marks on your heart. The airbase will do that. The rallies will too. Imagine a world where you can hop in a vintage sports car, cruise through Tuscan towns, stop at a family-owned vineyard, and share stories with people who speak your language. Not English or Italian, but the language of passion, the language of those who refuse to let life pass them by. Now I know that some of you are thinking, well, that's all good for you, but what about me? I can't just pick up and move to Italy. And you may be right. Maybe Italy isn't your dream. Maybe it's something else entirely. But here's the thing. Whatever that dream is, it's waiting there for you. It's been waiting for you. So I'm challenging you, right here, right now. Take a good, hard look at your life. Are you surrounded by things that truly speak to your soul? Are you spending your days in pursuit of something that makes your heart race? If not, why? What's holding you back? So I've been talking about the soul of things, the beauty in what's worn and weathered, the value of a life lived with purpose. It ain't all about cars and Italian villas though. That's my language. It's about crafting a life that means something, that tells a story worth telling. When you work with your hands, when you surround yourself with objects that have lived, you're doing more than decorating. You're building a narrative. Weaving yourself into the fabric of time. It's about more than looking back. It's about moving forward with intention, with passion. So I'm asking you, what's your vintage supercar? What's your Italy? What's the thing that embodies your dreams, your values? Maybe it's a car. Maybe it's a career. Maybe it's a journey. Whatever it is, find it today. But before you do, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And remember, the perfect road is the one you're on.